Welcome back. David Hertel in for Elias. We talked about this story from La Presse earlier this week. For more than a year, a Canada Post postman has been targeted by homophobic messages in his workplace, harassment that has plunged him into psychological exhaustion. And for more than a year, he has been urging his employer to take the means to stop these acts of bullying. And now the Crown Corporation says they've recorded a marked increase in events of violence and harassment at work. Try to help us make sense of how a situation could get to this point. I'm now joined by Sunira Chaudhri, an employment lawyer at Workley Law. Sunira, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, David. Thanks for having me.
So I don't know how comfortable you are about talking a specific case, and I understand if you won't, but to me, this case, and no wonder it made front page news here in Montreal, is that how can in 2024 a situation to me that seems intolerable for a week or a day can last more than a year without seeming to have any type of resolution in sight?
Well, I think the simple answer is there's too much red tape involved here. You have Canada Post coming out saying they're investigating, they're looking into it, they're doing what they need to do. Of course, they're sitting back on their codes of conduct and policies against harassment. None of that works when you have clearly here an employee that's been targeted. And I think there are two issues or two potential solutions. Mm-hmm. One is you've got to have your employees have an obligation to say something when they see harassment in the work. There is somebody within this organization that has seen either the person, in this case, putting the graffiti up on the wall and failed to report it. So you have to have your employees accountable. You've got to say, you see this type of thing going on. You as an employee of this organization, you have an obligation to report it to management. That is your positive obligation. You cannot ignore it. And number two, the fact that, of course, nobody wants a video camera in a bathroom, but a video camera posted on the entrance to see who's going in and out, having that bathroom checked consistently every couple of hours. You have an attendant going in and going back to check the tape. I mean, you and I could sit here for 5 minutes and figure out a way to figure out this problem. Why has Canada Post needed a year to do it?
That's what's baffling. And so in a situation like this, the employer has several obligations. You mentioned some of them, generally speaking, provide a safe workplace. And obviously they're not. Could this employee turn against Canada Post for not providing this safe environment?
Absolutely. I think we're already seeing hints of that. We see somebody who is saying that this person has already gone on the sick leave, has come back, has made 4 complaints to Canada Post saying, he is being relentlessly harassed. Incredibly embarrassing. I mean, imagine as an employee walking into a bathroom stall and being targeted on a weekly basis. I can't imagine how this person must be feeling. And absolutely, Canada Post continuing to have this person subjected to it. You're having this person not only subjected to this graffiti on the wall, but they're clearly working alongside this person. This person is within that 4 walls of that branch. And the fact that you haven't been able to root out that person, I absolutely think that there's liability here that Canada Post, it's becoming undeniable. I mean, it's absolutely, it being on the front page of a newspaper tells you why, because how can an employer not figure out within the confines of their own workplace who's the culprit? There's a lot of tools that employers can use now. Technology is at an all-time high. Most employees expect that there's going to be some kind of video surveillance in and around the workplace. That's largely accepted. And the fact that Canada Post has come back now and said, well, none of our video evidence has been able to reasonably tell us who it is, that's just not good enough. There's much more that they could be doing.
And what about the union here? Does a union have obligations as well, or a role to play in situations like these?
Well, it's a good point.
Well, I'm not trying to make a point. I'm just wondering if in this types of dynamics, if the union sometimes can be a hindrance to getting to a resolution in these types of situations.
Yeah, like look, David. I think a lot of people feel let down by their unions, and some people might feel like in this situation the union is not stepping up. The union might certainly have supported this person to go off on leave and to get pay or whatever entitlements he might have been entitled to per his collective agreement during that leave. But in terms of advocating for this person and their rights within the workplace to be free from a harassment and a safe working environment, I think that's sometimes where unions don't feel as though they can really step into the operations of a workplace, and they say, oh, that's operations, that's the employer responsibility, can't really touch it. But if there's not a grievance filed already, and I would be surprised that the union hasn't stepped in to the extent that this person would be protected. But, a lot of times when unions should be stepping in to support their membership, you're finding them asleep at the wheel, unfortunately.
Because at the same time, the culprit or culprits are most probably union members as well.
Yeah, and that's where the conflict comes from, right? Unions can't turn on one member to support another member a lot of the time. Unions often only get involved when the employer or management is the quote unquote culprit, but when it could be another member, this is exactly where union stewards would fall flat, and it's really left to management to sort it out, because how can a union turn on one of its members all that easily? So yeah, absolutely, sort of a confluence of minor disasters here.
So I guess my last question, Sunira, would be about, okay, for a person listening right now that is going through a situation of psychological harassment, what's the advice?
I think this person has done a very good job of documenting the concerns. I can tell you, David, time and time again, I have people coming to me saying that they have been subject to bullying and harassment, but never felt that they could put their hand up and actually document what was going on to them. So if you are going through harassment at work, bullying at work, and you feel like it would be too much, or you would go scorched earth if you were to go to HR, just put that aside. Send an email. An email does a lot of good. Forget about the meetings. Forget about having an in-person sit-down. Start documenting what's happening to you. Email is your friend. Email is your tool. Start documenting it now, so that if you need to rely on your complaint and when you reported it later, hey, guess what? Your email has not just documented what the issue is, but how early you flagged it for your employer.
Sunira, great insights. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks for having me, David.
Sunira Chaudhri, employment lawyer at Workley Law.